Emailer Damien asked the question, should the civil rights struggle be linked with the gay rights struggle, as many of the quote-unquote black leaders are leaning towards? As a person who is also African-American and gay, how do you respond to that?
Well, I think that that the civil rights movement during the 1960s created a terrain. It created a terrain that allowed many groups and communities to think about particular issues of discrimination and domination. Certainly the women's movement, as it developed in the 60s, would not have been possible without the backdrop of the civil rights movement. And you know, certainly the movement of women of color, certainly the gay, lesbian, now bisexual, transgender movement would not have been conceptualized in the same way had it not happened against the backdrop of civil rights, the civil rights movement. I think the problem is that some people, including some leaders, tend to see the gay movement as supplanting the anti-racist movement, which makes no sense, because in order to have a movement against homophobia, a movement that would strive for justice for gays and lesbians, there would have to be a movement for women's justice there. There would have to be a movement for racial justice there. So it seems to me that we need to see how these movements develop and overlap and are mutually constitutive. But I would like to say that in light of the current issues, gay marriage, that you know, while this has become the one of the hottest political topics, we shouldn't forget the critiques of the institution of marriage that have had an important impact on the way we think about women and the way we think about marriage. I don't want to argue that the critique of the nuclear family is something that we should give up, particularly given the role of women in that particular configuration. But of course, as many people point out, there are never any guarantees. You may feel like you're engaging in the same struggles all over again, but as a matter of fact, each generation, each historical period, we have to remake the past in order to make the future.
Have you personally been discriminated against because of being a lesbian?
No, I don't think, I'm not sure what you would refer to as personal discrimination. But my sense is that it is important to have a connection with the sort of structural impact of these forms of discrimination.
We got a new